only 1 week left until Elden Ring, and seriously, screw that game for coming out on a Friday, too late to do this week's review. I decided we'd take a look at the very first game a young Ronica Johnson had on their PS4. It was the game that made them want a PS4 to begin with, or any console from that generation. So long as it had the ability to run Fallout 4, I was going to be happy. It's a game with which I have a complex and messy relationship. See, Fallout 4 is a game that I think is fun and immersive, a game I could lose days to, but it's got what we like to call the Bethesda problem around these parts, in that it runs like I did on any school sports day with only slightly fewer heart attacks. The game engine leaves a lot to be desired, and the narrative is one with a sense of urgency that we are completely free to blow off, instead spending our time hunting deathclaws or building several really nice sheds.
You know, when you open by complaining, that doesn't make the game look good, right?
Yes, I know, that's very much so.
Do you maybe want to focus on the good things first before you get into your fucking bitching?
I rather think I should, yes. Let's be reasonable about this, and begin at the beginning where the beginning did begin. No, I can't believe I wrote a stupid line like that either. Fallout 4 opens in a lovely suburban home with Nate and Nora. You pick which one you want to play as and you customise their appearance in the bathroom facing the mirror. It's a kind of a neat little setup actually, I kind of like that. I also like that you can customise both of them and then just pick which one you want to play as. It won't matter long run, but it's nice, I like that you can do that. Once you're done, you go about your morning. You have some coffee, you name everything in your house, shoot the shit with your robot butler. Fucking robot butler, Christ, this couple is privileged. Only our lovely morning becomes slightly derailed by the fact that global nuclear war seems to be happening. Oh man, I just did the dishes. Anyway, we have to leg it to a bunker to save ourselves. Sorry, did I say bunker? I meant vault. See, in Fallout there are these big underground lifesaver places called vaults, which aren't just functioning nuclear bunkers, they're also bizarre social experiments. Why, you ask? Dunno, cause video games, I guess? I dunno, the company that made these vaults were just fucking weird. Our vault had us frozen in cryogenic stasis to ride out the war, only we're awakened a little ways before our time to see the delightful sight of our husband getting murdered and our baby getting kidnapped, and merciful fucking shit because I forgot to mention the baby. It's the most horrific animatronic looking creep I've ever seen. It's this thing here. Ugh. It's just... so much of it looks wrong. So we're put back on ice by Baldy McMurderface, and then we get out years later and have to escape the vault.
What's that? The vault door? The passage to the rest of the game? Don't mind if I crash, do you?
Oh, don't you fucking dare. Here's the thing, my gentle viewer. Bethesda games are buggy as shit and prone to crashes. When I very first installed Fallout 4 on my PS5, the game got to this point right here in the vault, and it crashed on me. You know, like a prick. I was so disappointed and yet utterly unsurprised. It's just what Fallout does is crash. Though I should say on this recent playthrough it ran alright. There were a few glitches here and there, a couple of bugs, but otherwise the ride was nice and smooth and it didn't crash again, so credit where it's due. If it wasn't for the janky combat, you could be forgiven for thinking that it was a competent studio that built this. Still, janky is really the word. Fallout has never been able to nail this whole gunplay thing. I've been with the series since I started back on Fallout 3 back on the PlayStation 3 era. I still do love that game, by the way, but fuck is it hard to play now. Janky doesn't quite sum it up with these earlier games. It was clunky, slow, and about as stable as a Russia-Ukraine peace agreement. Then enter Fallout New Vegas, which was even more falling apart, although that one is actually one of my favourite Fallout games ever. One of my favourite games ever, anyway. Which means I can look past the jank from time to time, so let's do that. Let's look past the jank. As you and your big brain may have figured, rescuing your Babel is sort of the main goal. The issue is, this is a goal that should have some urgency to it, right? Urgency that really doesn't mesh well with a big open world of possibilities. I finished decorating the town's weapon shop and was like, oh shit, I have a kid. Well, this late in the game it has to be had a kid. They probably face down in the Boston River by now, I thought on my very first playthrough, because I did the same thing back then. Now I've played this game more often than I've willingly brushed my own teeth. Being British, I wasn't going to do it anyway, but still. So I know that our proto-human is not quite as at risk as we think they are. Thing is, right, our character doesn't know this. To her, despite the years, her hubby's murder was a very recent event and she should still be traumatised by that shit. Her baby was kidnapped right in front of her by that angry dude with a gun. This should be front and centre on our mind, and it somehow isn't. My baby daddy was shot before my eyes and our only kid kidnapped. Yeah, a bit of a downer really, but these sheds aren't going to build themselves. Why are we free to do this before we even know if our child is alive? Sure, we got the word of a meth head, and is that really all we're going to go with? Is that reasonable? No parent in their right mind would take the word of a junkie fortune teller saying, oh, I feel like your baby's probably alright, I can feel it, I sense it because of the drugs. Or was our character a flat earther before the war and just believes whatever she wants to hear? It's mental. The game might have benefited from a more linear approach in the early stages, but no, who needs structure? You can spend days turning an empty drive-in movie theatre into an unassailable town full of merchants and workstations. You can go hunting for creatures or help weird old men live out their superhero fantasies, all while your kid is missing. Jesus fucking Christ, this has never not annoyed the fuck out of me.
Ronica, calm down. Look, I know you're bitter about not being able to do Elden Ring this week. I know you're mad that you keep seeing NFT bullshit popping up on your timelines, and I know you're just generally a bitter, unlikable shit.
All valid points, please go on.
But can you try, just for like 60 seconds, just a little praise about a game that you actually like, so you don't sound so angry and hateful for once in your fucking life?
Okay, I'll give it a go. So I like the Vats, that's the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, as it attempts to make up for the combat being crap. How it works is you scan an enemy in slow-mo, select where you want to attack and how many hits to do, and then your character will auto-attack for you. It has a nice cinematic flair to it, and I like how, unlike in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, it actually slows time rather than just stopping it outright. It feels a bit less cheap to use. I still don't like to overuse it, but it's a fun little system. It works a lot better this time around, even if the 95% chances to hit do seem to miss a lot of the time. I like the critical hit system. You build up a critical meter when you do your VATS attacks, and when it's full you can execute an instant hit, highly damaging attack whenever you please. I also like a lot of the designs for things here. Even if I do prefer the older style of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I am very much fond of some of Fallout 4's things and how they look. Deathclaws look badass. Sentry bots are big fuck off tanks. The cars that litter the roads are much more polished looking, polished in... probably the wrong word considering everything's rusty. I mean, they look nicer. I like how the armour is modular, so you can mix and match different bits. You can have combat armour chest, leather armour arm, metal armour leg. And I do enjoy the extensiveness of the equipment upgrades and crafting system. Fallout New Vegas brought us the crafting system originally. It was inelegant, but a nice addition to the game. It didn't really happen in Fallout 3. Well, you had like 3 or 4 custom weapons you could build, and that was about it. New Vegas also brought us a simple weapon mod system. Most guns had up to 3 available mods to install, which was quite cool. Fallout 4 improves on both systems by awarding them extra depth. You can turn a tiny pathetic hunting rifle into a powerful 50 caliber sniper rifle, turn a crappy pipe pistol into a fully fledged raider looking machine gun, attach 3 extra barrels to a missile launcher. It's all really nice. I also love the settlement building. Even if it does lack a certain amount of depth which you could really use, it is still a cool feature to have, and I like building towns. It's most of the reason I start new playthroughs is to start building new towns. Even if I can arm my settlers with miniguns and the best armour in the game, and they still somehow get captured by some brain-damaged junkies with stormtrooper aim, fuck knows how that happens. And whilst I do love the weapon mod system, I do feel like actual weapon selection is a bit thin on the ground. Fallout 3 had a pitiful selection as well, but it was the series' first jump to a big 3D real-time open world, coming from being a top-down 2D isometric world, so some teething troubles are forgivable. New Vegas added a fuck ton of new gear. New sets of armour with reinforced variants and dozens of weapons, almost every single one of which had a unique variant. Look, here's the 357 revolver. Now here is Lucky, which is a more powerful version of said pistol, and look how cool it looks. This is the Marksman Carbine, nice looking gun. Now here's All American, the same carbine with a dope-ass camo spray which does a little bit more damage. Here is the light machine gun, a very effective deathclaw hunting weapon if you ask me. Now here is Bozar, a sniper machine gun. Not only did we get a massive arsenal to start with, we had more incentive to explore to find the unique versions of all these guns. Even the lead pipe in Fallout New Vegas has a unique variant, I love it. Fallout New Vegas also had different ammo types, so you didn't have to ditch your favourite weapons when you had to fight certain enemies. You could also build ammo without needing to buy a DLC pack, and fuck you Fallout 4 for needing me to pay extra for stuff that was in the last game. Also, the game had a system where separate factions would remember your actions, and you could even dress up as them to fool them. And there were some cool legendary enemies that felt legendary, and fuck a doodle doo. We're back at complaining again. I am detecting a net loss when it comes to the content of Fallout 4 compared to its earlier games. Well, I say earlier games, I mean the one earlier game, Fallout New Vegas. And before anyone says I shouldn't compare the two, let me say this. Both games are in the Fallout franchise, right? Both games want to be Fallout RPGs, and at their core, they go about it the same ways. Big open world, lots of optional quests, plenty of gear to play with. The particulars have changed a little bit, sure, but they're both real-time action RPGs that both want to be real-time action RPGs. They're both Fallout games, which is what they both want to be. 4 shouldn't feel like it's missing pieces. When I first played, I remember thinking, cool game and all, but where's the rest of it? In a game where I can pilot a heavy suit of powered armour that makes me feel like a god among men, where I can build intricately complex townships, where I can scour the wasteland for hours finding awesome stuff, I shouldn't be thinking where the fuck is the rest of the game. I wish this was a Fallout New Vegas review now, I'd much prefer that one. Still, as bitter and dickish as I sound about Fallout 4, I still like the game, it's a good game. Save for some technical issues here and there, it's a fun and interesting RPG that does a lot well. I just get the sense that not a lot of thought went into it half the time, but it's a Bethesda game, so what do we expect? At least this gave me something to talk about this week, huh? I bet right now as you are listening to this I am playing Elden Ring. I hope I am. I hope it's good. I hope I'm having an amazing time with it. I look forward to discussing it next week, so that's what we'll be doing. And I can't think of a decent, well-sounding way to end this, so I'm just going to say take it sleazy, everybody. We'll see you next week.